guys, Julia here. I had forgotten, I don't know how this is possible, but I forgot that I made a folder of deleted scenes for The Scavenger and Missing Her. And I knew they were there and sometimes I'd look through them or whatever, but I haven't looked over them in a while. And I was going to, and then I was like, why don't I make a YouTube video about it? So today I'm gonna be going over deleted scenes for The Scavenger and Missing Her, talking about why they were deleted, what they were. Don't worry, no spoilers for either Scavenger or Missing Her. I will talk around the issues, but I just thought that would be interesting so you can kind of see my thought process and what happened. So let's go into the deleted scenes for The Scavenger first. I have many folders in my drive, like a lot of folders. Okay, so the first one that comes up, and this is the one that I knew was in here because it was very hard for me to cut. There's a scene with the character Frank, who's a drug dealer in The Scavenger, and he's talking to his friend Victor, and Victor says this paragraph describing the underground drug network in New York City and how they secretly have control over this large portion of New York. And it goes like this. I like to imagine our networks as spider webs. You and I, we're at the middle of our individual webs. We pull the strings and watch the insects trapped inside dance. Like it or not, all our webs are connected in one way or another. If one of them crashes, it's not long before the others start falling too. We are the webs that bind the city. So, I loved that parallel. I thought it was so cool, it was so artistic, and as I started doing drafts, I was like, a drug dealer would never say that. It's such a cool parallel, and originally The Scavenger was called The Webs That Bind the City based on that scene, but once I had to cut that scene and I was like, this doesn't work, no drug dealer talks like this, I changed it to The Scavenger, which I think ended up being a better title, but it really hurt my heart to have to cut that paragraph. It was just so cool. I don't know, maybe one day I'll use it again for something, but it was just like, sad boy times. The second scene I have, deleted scenes from The Scavenger, is actually when it didn't take place, well, it took place in high school, but Eve was actually an older friend of Catherine, and she was 21? Yes. Yeah, she was 21. So she was bringing, she would bring Catherine along to these different events, and she was kind of almost like another mother to Catherine, kind of giving her advice and things. And as time went on, I realized that really wasn't her place. Her place was to be the best friend to Catherine in high school, knowing all of her secrets and, best friend stuff. It wasn't really necessary to have her as a mother figure. But when she was 21, I had this scene that I thought was so cute after they went on a trip to, Eve went on a trip to the beach, and she comes back and she's talking to Catherine, and she says, I was the only one who wouldn't drink, which made me the designated driver. They called me Miss DD. As a thank you, look at what they gave me. Victorious, she fanned 5 Dunkin' Donuts gift cards in front of me. Get it? DD? I thought that was so funny. You get it? Designated driver, Dunkin' Donuts. Note to self, in the future, that's a great gift to give someone if they're your designated driver. Dunkin' Donuts gift cards. But once she wasn't 21 anymore, it didn't make any sense, so I had to cut it, but that was really sad. Okay, I can't talk about this next one without spoiling it, so if you want to hop over to deleted scenes from Missing Her, because this is the last one from The Scavenger, go to this timestamp here. You gone? Cool. The climax of the book is when Samuel tries to give Catherine the laced marijuana, and she rejects him. There's an internal struggle, but in the end she rejects him. In the first draft of the book, she didn't. She took it, and it made her dislikable. It made her character arc kind of non-existent because she just kind of went along with everything, and it didn't make sense. And once I started revamping her character was so hard. I thought her character would be the easiest one. I'm like, she's a junior in high school, I'm a sophomore, Like, I'm the closest related to her. I'm not related to a police officer, a drug dealer, or like a teenage guy in high school. She should be the easiest to write, and she wasn't. She gave me a lot of trouble. But in the first draft of the Scavenger, I had this line, these two lines. "Don't you trust me, Catherine?" Samuel's voice echoed from what seemed like miles away. I was moving through molasses as I nodded my head. Holding the thing up to my face, I kissed the end and slowly breathed in. This still makes me really mad. I don't know why I wrote this. Why would I do that to Catherine? It didn't make sense. I just wanted, like, I guess I thought that it would be like more intense for the reader if you're like egging someone not to do something and then they do it anyway. I mean, like, that's how horror movies work. You're kind of constantly like, don't go in the closet, and they're like, what's in the closet? So I thought it would be the same way to ramp up tension, but it just didn't work. Catherine's character just, it didn't make sense. But I will say I loved the description of "I kissed the end." I thought that was very, very artistic of me, but it didn't matter, I didn't use it. Alright, moving on to deleted scenes of Missing Her. These I haven't looked at like a lot, so we're gonna see what we got here. So originally, the first draft of Missing Her had like just a block of exposition explaining Eliza and her disappearance. I ended up changing that so it explained as much as it needed to, but it didn't go into a ton of depth. But originally there was like 5 paragraphs that kind of went into each, like what happened, blah 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 blah. It was just unnecessary. So like I'll read a part for you, and you'll see why it's unnecessary. The very fact of her disappearance was interesting enough, but the strange circumstances of the event only added to the intrigue. Theories ranged from running away to UFOs. Regina, her name was Regina, it's now Eliza, had stayed home from school the day before on account of her feeling ill. Most just chalked it up to coincidence, but others hypothesized drugs or pregnancy. Her boyfriend also came under suspicion, although nearly everyone agreed their relationship was nothing if not pure. They'd been going out for nearly 2 years, and not one person could recall witnessing a fight between them, or even a quarrel. It wasn't necessary. It didn't need to be there. You could gauge that information in other ways, or just have like internal dialogue from Vanessa. Like I had a scene added in there where it was a flashback where it was Vanessa and Eliza talking together when they were kids, and like that's a better way to build up backstory than just block of text. Oh, so and so, this wasn't realistic, and they thought this, and this happened, and it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. So I cut it. Oh my god. Okay, it's not a spoiler. It's from the prologue of the book, okay? So like within the first couple pages you'll get the idea. In the prologue for Missing Her, it starts with this woman driving away from something, you don't know what, and there are 3 children in the car. And I won't say who this person ends up being or who these, like, what is their relation to all of this, but originally it had a very different ending. In Missing Her, it ends with the car crashing. In the original draft of the book, it ends with a shootout between the mom in the car and the police officer behind her. And so let me just read you this because it was like so hardcore. It was like Missing Her, paranormal thriller into action sequence, hard right turn. Ellie sat up, daring to look out the back windshield. She rubbed the tears from her eyes. What's going on? The woman was silent. I'm scared. The woman clicked the safety off the gun sitting in her lap. They should be too. She just, like, one hand on the wheel, the other hand like this, like shooting. I don't even know how it worked. I was like, oh, this is so exciting, like a shootout in the beginning of the book, and it didn't work out. But I love that line, I'm scared. They should be too. That's not how you talk to a 5-year-old. Past Julia. Oh my goodness. So there's another sequence that I ended up cutting from the book. So this is just a quick line. I ended up cutting from the climax. I just thought, originally when I wrote it, I knew what I wanted to say, but over time I just couldn't figure out how I wanted to say it. So this was the line. It was like I was watching a horror movie. I had no choice but to witness the girl walk into the basement when the whole audience knew the killer was down there. I knew what I was trying to say. I was trying to say, like, she knew something bad was coming and she felt helpless to warn the person involved, but I couldn't figure out how to phrase it properly, so I ended up just cutting the line. It was pretty implied anyway, like obviously she can't help, that's the whole plot of Missing Her, is that she's reliving her best friend's memories and like she's trying to figure out if there's any way to stop it, blah blah blah. But like it was overbearing. It just wasn't necessary. So yeah, those were the deleted scenes from Missing Her and the Scavenger. I looked through, there's a couple of more extraneous scenes, but they're either too complicated or just too darn long to talk about. But those were the major ones that really made a big impact on the stories. So I hope you enjoyed looking through a little behind the scenes look at what was going on with my thought process and everything. Have you ever had to delete a part of your book? Did it hurt your heart? It hurt my heart, but that's why I didn't really delete them. I just moved them into a separate document because who knows, maybe one day I will have a drug dealer that speaks artistically and with poetry-like precision, and I can use those words and put them in there, but it just wasn't working for Frank. Thank you guys for stopping by. Bye!